Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Cynthia the Audio Belle, and I'm here this time with my audio dog, Osi. Osi is one of my older audio dogs. She's 12 years old, she's a Bichon, and she really is an audio dog. Sometimes I'll catch her sitting in front of my Magnapans just listening and enjoying the music. All right, thanks Osi. So, I went to Axpona 2019, and I had the opportunity to interview the president of Emotiva, Dan Laufman. Emotiva is one of my favorite manufacturers, mainly because they make such affordable components, and the components are still high-value products. They're really good products. I have the XPA1 Gen 2 monoblocks, the ERC3 CD player, and the XSP1 preamplifier. And my friend has the XPA1L monoblocks, which are really nice. Those are 500 watts into 4 ohms. And mine are 1,000 watts into 4 ohms. Anyways, that's beside the point. I got to do an interview with Dan Laufman and learn what makes his company tick. So they're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. And when most high-end audio companies were catering to the older demographic, to the people who could afford really expensive audio components, and the audio components were continuing to go up in price, Dan said, hey, we're going to start a company that makes audio products that are affordable so people can still have a mortgage and have an audiophile system. So here's more from Dan. Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Cynthia the Audio Belle, and I am here with Dan Laufman from Emotiva. Dan, I have a few questions that I've been dying to ask you. I looked around and saw your product line and how everything is going modular and just changing. And I was wondering about the Class H versus Class AB first of all, because I saw that the monoblocks you have are Class H. Now I have the Class A, B switchable to A, XPA1 Gen 2, so why Class H versus Class AB?
Well, that's a good question, I'll tell you why. So, we've been building amps a long time. Class AB is kind of the old reliable topology. The problem when you start building high-power Class AB amplifiers or high-power Class A amplifiers is efficiency. So when we went to the new Gen 3 XPA amplifiers, we decided to do Class H rail switching. So there's still a Class AB amp as the gain block or the power block, but the power supply is intelligent and it's looking at the output voltage swing, and it adjusts the rails dynamically from a lower, what we call a standby rail, the A rail, the lower voltage rail, which is about half the main rail. And when the comparators in the power supply see that the output signal is going to exceed the lower voltage, they very quickly turn FETs on that raise the rail up to the higher voltage to allow the audio transient to go through uncompressed. So you still have a Class AB amplifier design, so you have the still same sonic attributes of a Class AB amplifier, because it is a Class AB amp, but you've got the efficiency, you know, the practical efficiency, not quite Class D efficiency, but you get a huge efficiency bump by not having that standoff voltage at low signal levels.
Yeah.
So you've got really good dynamics, great dynamic headroom, and low heat buildup, higher efficiency. And most of the amplifiers, if you look at them in the real world, are sitting at very low power states. So standing off big high supply rails is really inefficient and generates a lot of wasted heat. So the Class H circuitry, it doesn't have any sonic degradation at all. There's no downside, there's no penalty sonically, because it's very quick. It switches faster than the highest, like a 20 kilohertz square wave coming in the input. The Class H switch can get ahead of it and have the rail up when it needs to. So you never fool it. You never run out of rail or have a crossover notch or any kind of artifact audibly.
So Class H is pretty much Class AB in disguise.
Class H rail switching. So
with
a lot of
an
guys
extra
think
rail.
Class H is the amplifier. The H refers to the power supply.
Okay.
It's nothing to do with the amplifier itself. Yeah.
With that being said, I was wondering, because I see a lot of home theater stuff in the room, are you going more towards the home theater side or the audiophile side?
You know, we look at our customer base, and I think we're pretty much split 50-50 between the what I would call a mixed user, a hi-fi enthusiast who has a home theater system, which we build a lot of mixed use systems, where they'll have a Series 2 channel rig as part of the multi-channel listening experience, and then pure two-channel guys. So I'd say it's probably evenly split. You know, one of the things we've done on all of our designs is we really pay attention to the left and right channels of all of our gear. So the differential reference signal path, we always have a pristine two-channel audio path, so that a guy can use our multi-channel gear in a two-channel environment with a pure analog path if they want it, free of any processing or artifacts, and at the same time have the convenience of having a single platform for stereo or multi-channel listening.
Yeah. So there are purists out there that, like, they want separate everything.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think you should do whatever makes you happy. The reality is, as most people, you know, life is a series of compromises, and many people don't have room in their home for a dedicated two-channel room or two-channel space and then a dedicated multi-channel space. So what we found is what really resonates with our customers is the ability to have a serious, high-end two-channel listening experience, at the same time incorporating it into a multi-channel playback system. We still have plenty of old school, hardcore two-channel enthusiasts. We make a line of gear for that. We have the XSP, which you own. We have the DR amps. We have lots of good two-channel equipment, preamps and power amps and DACs and things like that, as well as our multi-channel products.
So why did you steer away from the technology of the XPA1 Gen 2 more towards the modular side of things?
Well, we sell thousands and thousands of amps over the years, and we are a technology company, and transformers have got big issues. They're inefficient, they're heavy, they're prone to, toroidals in particular, are prone to AC line issues. They can make mechanical noise, they can get hot, and everything in the world's got switchers, and there's a lot of corrupted AC. And you get lots of problems with toroids, especially like in Europe. At higher voltage and lower frequencies, they'll physically hum, and the hums will come and go, and then they weigh so much. And they're not very good power density because they're charging up at 50 or 60 hertz, and switching power supplies have come a long way in the last decade or so. So we worked for about 2 years on our switcher that's in the XPA Gen 3 series. It outperforms the transformer in terms of current density. It's much smarter. We have intelligent control over the power supply. It seamlessly commutes from 120 to 230 volt operation. It doesn't care about AC line quality. That is line asymmetry, DC offset, all the things that might disturb a conventional toroid. Brownouts, high line, all these things don't bother the switcher. It compensates for all that automatically. And it also weighs a fraction of the weight of the transformer, but it has much higher peak current delivery than the equivalent transformers that we were using in our products before. So to us, and it also has less AC leakage in terms of stray field leakage. So the amps are quieter, they have more peak current capability, they have more consistent power delivery, they don't have any audible artifacts, and they actually measure better with the switching power supply in the real world than they do with conventional magnetics.
Oh,
so
that's good to know.
It's all win-win as far as we're concerned. And they weigh half as much. So when you're an old guy like me and you got to pick it up, you go, it doesn't weigh 100 pounds now, it's 40 pounds or 45 pounds. And that's a huge thing. It also greatly reduced our freight damage, which seems like a small thing, but when you're moving a 100-pound box around and a guy drops it,
oh, I can imagine.
There's some certain physics in there, and then objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and they end up denting the side of the chassis. So
I know.
It's been good. They've been very well received by our customers.
I think my amps that I have are like 70 pounds a piece.
Yeah.
But I was always under the impression that heavier was better, but
Well,
that's good to know that.
And there's a lot of guys that take advantage of that, and they go, let's put a real big heavy weight in our big thick bottom pan or a sinker in the side of the thing to make it seem higher quality. The reality is our build quality has improved over time. Our circuit quality, our bore construction, we've actually elevated everything in our amplifiers and our electronics over time. But weight is not a really direct correlation between quality. And maybe in the old days, you go, oh, it's got a big transformer. But the same rules don't apply for switch mode power supplies. It's a whole different world. And the higher you go in frequency, the smaller the magnetic components, the smaller the capacitors get for an equivalent power density. So you can't really use that old rule of thumb anymore. It's kind of thrown out the window.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who do you see as your competitors?
You put me on the spot.
I did.
You know, I'm going to sound like an old hippie from the valley, you know, an old flower child here, but I don't really view the world that way. I mean, we do what we do. We have a certain thing that we're trying to do as a company, a certain vision for the brand, and I'm probably a horrible marketing person because we're an engineering-driven company, and I don't really think much about our competitors. And I'm not being saying that in an arrogant way at all. I mean, I've just had a vision for the brand, which is to make hi-fi fun again, to make home theater exciting, fun, and affordable. When I grew up, I didn't have any money. There were brands like Phase Linear, Hafler, all these Heathkit even, that you could build aspirational products at a price you could afford as a young guy or as a person on a lower budget. And then I watched the high end going up and up and up in price. And there's a lot of rich guys that want to spend their money, and God bless them. I mean, nothing wrong with that. But you leave a whole chunk of the population out when you price your products to the point that it becomes like, do I send my kid to college or do I buy a new pair of speakers? I mean, it's just not a cost-benefit decision that I want to make. So I was an OEM builder for many, many years. I built for other brands in the industry, and I did very well with it. But I wanted to change my life. I moved to the South from California, and during that period I decided I wanted to have my own brand at the back end of my career. And I wanted to have some fun with it. And one of the things that I thought was a big barrier to enjoying the hobby again was having every purchase decision you make become a major, life-altering purchase where it was just too much money for the gear that you were buying. So when I started Emotiva, I wanted to make high-end affordable, make it accessible, to be able to give you 95% of that uber high-end experience, the listening experience, the visceral, emotional connection to your music and your cinema. You can get there, without spending your life savings on it. I wanted to make a brand that reflected the things that turned me on to audio when I was a young guy, which was great sound, great performance, and a great deal. Because like when you get a used car, I get a great deal on a used car, right? You're looking for more value for the money that you think you got a great deal. Like people used to say, how do you do this for this price? And I said, look we cut all the fat out. We run on a narrow margin. We streamlined all of our engineering and design. We use as much parts in common throughout as many of the products as possible to get our volume buys up. So transistors, front panels, chassis. We step and repeat over and over again so our volumes go up to get our unit cost down. And instead of taking high margins, we run a very reasonable markup, and we pass that savings on to our customer. And then we have a direct-to-retail component to our business, and we've added retailers and distributors, but we didn't raise our prices. We look at our blended business, we decide how much money we have to make as a company to make it viable, and we just leave our pricing alone as much as possible. And another thing we don't do, you got me on my soapbox, we don't price to market. And that's a big deal. So what does price to market mean? It says, I got a new widget, and I could sell this for $999. But you know what? I could sell it for $499 and make a reasonable profit and not price to the market. So we have a simple formula that we run everything by, irrespective of how much it costs to develop, what our engineering overload is, our tooling. That's all on our overhead. We just say if it costs $1, I sell it for X dollars, and that formula never varies, and it's very small compared to the industry. So whenever you look at an Emotiva product and you say if it's $100 or $1,000, you'll see a direct correlation between what that product costs to build and its retail price, and it's consistent throughout our product line. And why do I do that? Because I think it shows the true value of the product. It makes our products hyper competitive, and I do believe I am a capitalist in the sense that I think if you leave a lot of fat on the table, some other guy like me is going to go, wow, Dan's overpricing that product. I could build one for $499 instead of $999. I could take his market share. And I'm trying to eliminate that temptation from anybody that wants to come compete with me. So I am competitive in that sense, but I want my customers to know that I'm selling it for the lowest possible price I can sell it to them and still have a viable, profitable enough business to stay in business and service their needs from now and into the future.
Yeah, I can't think of a lot of companies that do that, that make such good value products for low prices.
Yeah.
So you do narrow margins, but you sell more volume to account for that.
It's a profit game, as they say, yeah.
It is.
But we have a very reasonable markup, and we like it that way. It keeps our company focused and competitive and agile,
So And does that help the younger generation get into audio? Because one of the biggest concerns right now in the industry is we're the young people, we're the women too, but mainly young people, because the older demographic is going to be dying off, and we're looking at a concern that most of the products that are being sold to that older demographic.
Yeah, I mean, when half your customers have hearing aids, that's not a good thing. I mean, God bless them, I just don't have any yet, but, who knows, right? I think that you have to think, in order for the price to be accessible, they have to be affordable. So price is a huge barrier. And it's not just price, it's attitude. We have a very open company. We have a very welcoming company. We have a whole online community. We have a whole newbie, we call it newbies. Entry level, they could be old guys that are newbies or young guys that are newbies. But people your age, right now everybody's into personal listening. You have your earbuds, you have your ear pods, you have your headphones, whatever. And the DAC business and the headphone business is going crazy, right? But you guys are going to grow up and want to have a communal experience. You're going to watch a movie with your mate or your friends, or you're going to take that personal listening experience, which I was very involved when I was young. It wasn't as advanced as it is now, but I used to sit there with my headphones on in my bedroom and zone out because my neighbors would yell at me when I played my hi-fi too loud in my little apartment in the valley. But eventually you get a little bit of room around you and you have a bigger room and you'd like to watch a movie and share it with your friends, so you're going to get into audio, the business that I'm in, the in-room experience. And that's just going to be a natural evolution of the younger generation. Some big changes in 2020 with Emotiva in terms of wireless and multi-room products. So we've had to work on processors. That's been our big engineering focus for the last 18 months to 24 months. But now the big push into wireless and multi-room will be next.
So you're going to be doing wireless processors?
Not wireless processors per se, but parts of them will be connected wirelessly for surrounds and other elements of the system. I don't want to give away all my competitive. I guess I am a capitalist and a competitive guy, but
I'm going to try to get it out of you.
Yeah, well, we have ideas about what we're going to do with multi-room and to make the surround sound experience easier to implement.
Okay.
And wireless is a big part of that.
So circling back to the young people, are you doing anything to market to the young people to get them to come?
Well, we're on all the new social media sites. We do a lot of a big Facebook community. We have Instagram. Nick Bandera and Jessica, my daughter, are doing all this network online marketing, and they're appealing. We don't really do any traditional advertising anymore. The older paper magazines and stuff. When's the last time you wrote but maybe you do because you're an enthusiast. But the average person isn't going to buy the old school audio magazine that
Well, they don't.
Buy it. They just don't. It's all digital. So all of our efforts are in the digital domain, trying to reach out and connect with people and build communities and connect into communities, online, because that's where all the action is. So you go to the R forum, you go to the to AVS forum, you go to the headphone guys. I mean, that's where all the action is, and we want to be part and relevant and a player in those areas. So
that has been helping.
Oh yeah.
That they're networking
that's
online.
That's where all of our action is. And that's where all of our ad budget is. Google AdWords, Facebook, Instagram. We do all this stuff.
So you have Google Ads.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Huge part of our marketing. Yeah.
That's very helpful. So I had a few more controversial questions.
Here we go. I knew it was going way too well up till now.
Yep. So the first one is, many audio products have been designed in America and made in China.
Correct.
For obvious competitive reasons. So how can an American-made audio manufacturer compete in the middle price market with American parts and labor?
Well, we're doing it, right? So we build all of our X-Series amps are all assembled in the U.S. now. Our processors are assembled in the U.S. The PC boards are done in the U.S. on the processors and our DACs. Okay, we do some of the metalwork in the U.S. Our goal over the next 24 months is to bring as much of the fabrication and physical parts of the company back to the U.S. that we can. Now, there's certain limitations. Components are a worldwide market. They're a global supply chain. So you go try to find a resistor made in the U.S., a commercial resistor or capacitor. Unless you spend money on very, very high-end esoteric stuff, there's no supply chain in the U.S. for that. So you have to go to the global marketplace for components. But our design, our fabrication, our board assembly, more and more of that is coming in the U.S. And say right now about half of our dollar volume is driven by products that are designed and assembled. You got to use that word, assembled in America. And
it's about the terminology.
Well, that's a legal terminology because made in America means everything is made in America. That means corn is made in America, right? But there's not a car made in America. There's not an iPhone made in America. There's not very few things are truly made in America unless they're core components, things like metal and ores and things. Everything is really a global supply chain. So we say designed and assembled in America with globally sourced components. That's our language that's legal to state.
Okay.
It's a very made in America is a very carefully protected mark by the FTC, and you don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, I can imagine because people would question it.
And I'll tell you this, from this business that we're in now, it's thrown around and in a very irresponsible way because there's many things that say made in USA, and having been an OEM builder right now, I know they're not. They're not technically meeting the letter of the requirement. I'm going to answer a part of your question. So one time when we started Emotiva, we said designed in America and precision crafted in China. And we were the antichrist of audio because this is a bunch of Chinese junk. And I get an email, I'm not going to buy this Chinese junk sent from my iPhone, which is made in China, So the reality is that everything in this building, the vast majority of everything in this building, significant components of it are coming from China or Indonesia or Taiwan or Japan or you name it. But China is a huge global supply point, and that's just the reality of the world that we live in.
There's a lot made in China, and I know that there's significant risks and pitfalls to having parts manufactured in China. What are your thoughts on that?
We're doing our best to remove our dependence on China on critical projects. Design, of course, we do ourselves now, so that's the big thing.
That's one of the things I like about your company.
Yeah, we've always been, we're an engineering company. We're not really a marketing. I'm not a horrible marketer. I wouldn't be sitting there talking like this openly about things.
Now you have a good radio voice.
Well, yeah. Like I said before in our car, I have a face for radio. So, it's, I spent a lot of time in China. I was a partner in a company based in China for many years.
Yeah.
And I love China. I love the people. They're very capable and should not be discounted as fierce competitors and very capable suppliers. But at the same time, we need to, for the sake of your company, you have to try to control as much of it as you can. And the political situation right now is such that it can create hardships having a completely focused China supply base. It could be dangerous, especially as if politics go in the wrong direction or something.
Yeah.
We've had a little bit of that happen to us, where we've had stuff get stuck and, a little more, it's kind of a weird situation right now. But it's not being anti-China or for China, it's a reality. That's where many of the components are coming from. So you got to work with it and try to reduce your dependency on one particular region of the world for your livelihood.
So do you think that American audio manufacturers are equally competitive with Chinese manufacturers or offshore manufacturers?
No.
No.
I don't think so. Not from a cost standpoint, not from a focus standpoint, and not from the Chinese. I spent a lot of time in China. I spent 20 years in China, almost full time. They're very focused and very capable. The biggest problem you have here is we were very capable. When I grew up in the 60s and 70s, we could do anything in the U.S. I could build anything I wanted to build within a 5-mile bike ride from where I grew up in the valley.
Yeah.
All those companies have gone away. The vast majority of them don't exist anymore. So if you want to build something in the USA, it's a real pain in the butt to try to find a PC board house, a metal house, a transformer house, and then find one that's competitive, has the kind of quality you need at a price that's competitive. It can be very, very challenging. It can be done, and we're trying to do it as much as we can, but it's difficult, And I think we could do it in the U.S., and we have the capability. Do we have the will to do it is the thing. I'd like to see us get some of that back, and I'm trying to do my little bit by trying to bring as much back as I can, but I'd like to see our government and our people demand that we put more emphasis on bringing not only these jobs and the work and the capability, the know-how back, and encourage manufacturers and engineering and these kinds of things in the U.S.
So I had a couple other questions.
Yeah.
Another one was,
I gave you a lot longer answers than you. She's still holding this, by the way, folks. So.
I am. I'm still holding the camera.
Yeah.
So one of my other questions was, you guys sell direct rather than through dealers.
We do both. We have a blended model.
Oh,
we
you
sell
do?
Through dealers in the U.S. We sell direct in the U.S. and we sell through distributors internationally. So we have about 38 international distributors. I don't know our exact dealer count in the U.S. Nominally 100, and we're always looking. We just signed a new dealer up today, California, and so we're looking for dealers. We love partners. We started out originally as an internet direct company, but then I realized in order to take care of our customers, not everybody wants to be a do-it-yourselfer. Not everybody wants to unbox it and move it around and hook it up. Either they don't have the desire to, or the know-how, or they're not physically able to do it. So we sell to them any way they want to buy from us, direct through retail partners and integrators, and then internationally through our distributor partners.
So they have options, and
yeah,
you think they think it's more personal when they get to get it through a dealer?
I think it depends. We have a pretty personal, hands-on experience with us. I mean, you've bought from us, and
yeah, I buy direct from you guys.
Yeah, and
so
you can call us and talk to us. And I have a funny story I like to tell. So one of my tech support guys was helping a guy with his color TV. Well, color TV. That's not an old guy. Color TV. His video display. And it happened to be a big 4-letter brand video display. And I go, why are you tucking this guy through his TV? And he goes, well, he needed help with his TV, and he called the company, and they won't talk to him. So he called us because we knew we'd probably try to help him, you know.
That's customer service right there.
And I said at first, I went, what a waste of time. And I thought, wait a minute, you know, that's probably not a bad reputation to have as being a helpful, customer-centric company. So I said, yeah, go ahead and help him, yeah, encourage him.
So did he fix it?
Customers.
Did he fix his TV?
I think he got him going, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we like having a high customer touch. We really try to take care of our customers and give them a very hands-on, you know, high-touch ownership experience. In fact, even though we're remote, even though it's a virtual relationship, we meet all these people at these shows, and they're all like your old friends. Go, hey, it's so and so. I remember you. We talked, and so it's very, very personable, even though it's virtual, most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then some guys have a great hi-fi dealer they've been working with, and they want to buy from them, and they go. That's where they trust their recommendations. They physically got to touch it first. They don't want to try it and then send it home. They don't want to mess with any of that. So we try to be available to them any way they want to buy us.
It does make it easier for young people to be able to buy direct as well, since there's not as many stores and dealerships out there.
Yeah.
So, last question.
Okay.
Why not tubes?
Well, okay. I wanted to be in the tube business very badly. And I bought a company as one of my little moments of disappointment and public humiliation. I bought a tube company, and I wanted to be in business with a very famous engineer, and we had a nice thing going, and then he changed his mind. I'm not really sure why. And I wanted to do it with him, not on our own, and it didn't work out. And I still have it in the back of my mind because I like tubes a lot. And but and it would be like a little subset of what we do. It'd be like a little niche thing, like my studio monitor stuff that I did, just because I liked them. It wasn't really part of our business plan. I was just interested in it. And by the way, I'll say it now, we will have more power monitors coming back next year, but we're in a redesign phase right now. But never say never is all I can say right now. I love tubes. They have some really appealing characteristics. And we have the capability. We have some great tube engineers in our company, by the way. I got two fantastic tube engineers. And but we've had so many products. As you know, we've developed a lot of gear, and tubes become a hobby, not a core part of our business. There'll never be enough tube business for us to sustain it as a company. So it will have to be one of the Crazy Dan projects that I do because I want to, not because maybe it's the best use of our money and resources.
Well, if you do that, let me know, because I'd like to see that. I like the warmth of tubes, but I like the oomph of solid state. Yeah. So, and you've got a great thing going on here. You've got a large room at the show, and I really enjoyed looking at the equipment. We have our 16-channel Atmos 3D audio, Atmos DTSX 3D audio demo, and it's all driven by Emotiva. And we're using the incredible new 8K JVC E-Shift projector. It's 4K and 80 with 8K E-Shift, and it's the most beautiful video I've ever seen in my life. And yeah, I saw it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and ironically, the projector costs as much as our entire audio system, speakers, subs, processor, amplifiers, everything. It's about $20,000 worth of Emotiva gear to build this big, large format surround sound system, and the projector is about 20 grand. So,
oh my gosh.
you know, by the pound,
It better
we're
be a
much better
good projector.
deal. It is a phenomenal projector, yes. But by the pound, we're a better deal. Yeah, so I'll take some comfort in that.
That's nice. Well, thank you so much for
You're
doing this
welcome.
interview with me, Dan.
It's been a real pleasure talking to you.
All right.
Bye-bye.